Hello, everyone. Welcome to IT Tech Talk. I'm your host, Joel Ward, and with me today is Brittney Richardson. Brittney, how are you doing today?
I am outstanding. How about you?
I'm good. It's been a busy couple days since the weekend. I have been busy getting guests and writing my book I'm currently working on. So yeah, it's been busy.
Wait. This is news to me. You're writing a book.
Yes.
What is
yes.
this book? I have to know.
So it's a book about how to gain success without money or power. And it's like tips on how to gain success. I have been very successful in my last couple years of my life, and I have done it through without how should I put this? Without money. I've done a lot of it on my own. I have pushed myself via like friends and stuff and not done anything. Like no one's given me money, no one's done anything, but I've done it all myself. So I'm trying to write this book and there's a couple friends of mine who are writing this book. Actually, both of them have been on my show, and they are going to be writing the book with me about how they gain success in their life as well. So yeah, it's happening. It's on the screen above me.
That is so cool. I'll have to check it out. I love
it's called A Successful Future. It's not just written. Sorry, I had to look up because I can't remember the title sometimes. But yeah, it's in the works. It should be out by the end of this year. And I know my listeners are like, this is the first time I've heard about this. I'm like, yeah, I've talked briefly about it, but not 100% about it because I'm like still working on it. And it's a work in progress. But yeah, so that's happening. But Brittney, we're here to talk about you. So let's get a little background about you. I can see in the background you are on the highway. So I'm sure that my listeners who don't know, you are a truck driver, and it's great that we have you on the road because right now during COVID, you are the lifeline that keeps the country running. You run things around the country, which has been great. So
I wish.
right, get that travel points.
I wish I could have wings and fly.
Right.
Make things a lot easier.
So give me a little background. What got you into truck driving? What do you do? How do you do it? And just give us a little background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I used to be in law enforcement. Don't hate me. I was a good cop.
Oh no. We in this channel we back the blue, so you're good to go.
We got a lot of good officers out there. I was one of the good ones. And long story short, I did it for several years, enjoyed it. And I was ready for something different.
Yeah.
And decided to, I was also in a fire department, which kind of piqued my interest in the truck thing.
How is that? Isn't that kind of conflicting being a cop and a firefighter? Don't they kind of like, don't really get along?
You would think so, unless you're in Kansas. Okay, Kansas is completely different because we have 3 cities in Kansas that run a combined public safety model where you're cross-trained as a police officer and a firefighter. Okay. So it's really unique.
Awesome.
But I got to drive one of the big old cab-overs, ladder truck.
Okay.
And I just always enjoyed driving that thing. And I was like, that kind of piqued my interest into the trucking thing. I'm like, I don't see many women out here doing it. But
oddly enough,
still,
I have someone I grew up with that is a female trucker, or she kind of got out of it because I think she hurt herself. I haven't really checked in on her, but she used to drive, I think who was it? Not Ward Trucking. Who is that? It's a green logo. I don't know if you know. It's like a green logo.
Let's see. There's Old Dominion. There is. God, what are some with some green logos? I
can't think. Wait. You're not the only female trucker out there, and I've seen a couple because I travel a lot and I'm on the road a good portion of my morning, and I see a couple female drivers driving for Amazon Prime or UPS or stuff like that. So you're not the only one out there.
Yeah, there are more of us. There are more. We're creeping up there slowly. I think we're about 6 to 9% of the trucking population right now.
Well, I'm all about empowering women, and I think that's great that you have pushed yourself into a career that is very male dominated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was a challenge, but then again, kind of coming from law enforcement, I was kind of used to that, because it's mostly men on the fire department. Department, so I was kind of used to that in a sense, and decided to take the next leap and drive a truck.
Well, I think that's awesome.
Little pink bunny.
Aw. So you're in, where are you again? You said you're in Kansas?
I'm in Fort. Yes, I am. I'm north of Fort Scott, Kansas.
Okay.
Kind of in the middle of nowhere right now.
Now, is that where, are you just based out of, or have you traveled literally like everywhere?
Literally everywhere.
Okay.
I've been on the outskirts of New York, never been in New York. I've been through LA. I've literally been coast to coast.
Wow.
About everywhere you can imagine.
How do you manage a social career like that? Like a social life? Like, do you get to do things, or?
It's tough. It really is. I kind of started by getting onto YouTube originally because I was so bored out here. I was like, there's nobody to talk to. I was running night loads a lot. So I would get bored in the night and I would kick on my camera and just start ranting about crazy drivers or something like that. And next thing you know, I started growing a following. And that was kind of my social connection in the beginning.
Awesome. That's cool. So you're going to have to give me your link to your YouTube channel so I can link it in the bio of this episode. So that way people can check you out. But no, that is.
Oh, definitely. That'd be
great. I try and link anybody who has got something interesting. I try and link it in the show so that way people can check it out. But yeah, that is awesome. Like I drive a lot on the road. I'm on the highway about 6, 7, sometimes even 10 hours out of my day. And there's just so many crazy drivers. So I can relate because there's been a couple times where truckers have, been the crazy ones, but I can understand the stress they're under because they're on the road a lot longer than I am, doing hauls between states and if not cities. And, it's a lot of work, and I could not do it. I don't have the stamina. I have the stamina to drive my Honda Civic, back and forth up through PA everywhere and come back. And sometimes that's a 10-hour drive, depending on where I'm going. And then once I get back, I'm just like, I just want to sleep. And so I can't relate to what you do because you're on the road longer than me, but I can relate to how tired you probably feel. I have had several times, and I understand this. I pulled off and just flipped the seat down and just like slept for a good while because I'm just like I wake up early. I wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm on the road till almost 12:30 sometimes. So yeah, it's a lot of work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm used to it, but yeah, I get paid well to do that, but it is a lot of work. So I want to talk about this. So do you work for a company or are you privately owned as your own like entrepreneur driving your own truck kind of deal?
Kind of entrepreneur. So I'm a lease purchase driver. So I'm buying my own truck. It's about half paid off right now. And I contract with a company out of Kansas City for the loads. So I kind of have the independence of having my own truck, doing my own thing, while at the same time having the dependency of reputation of a big company behind me that can provide the load. So I absolutely love it. What I'm hoping to do here soon, the reason I'm still driving right now, is I'm hoping to expand and add a few trucks, kind of build my own fleet with the company, and then focus more on the podcast, which is my passion because I love connecting with people.
That's how I am,
and finding out what drives people. I'm sure you could relate to that. What
100%.
really drives?
That's why. Okay, so I started this show. To a little background for people who have probably just started listening. I started this show as a tech show and just ranted about tech, and it got to the point where people stopped listening. And then I started thinking, what if I got guests on and talked about entrepreneurship and stuff like that? And I kept the name of the show because it's the most unique name, and people can find me that way. And start interviewing people about their interesting hobbies or businesses or ideas, and it took off, and I have a good following now, and I'm just like, wow, people are actually interested in this, and I get to interview people who literally, I had the guy, if you haven't had a chance to, Dr. Eric Cole's interview, he's the one that works for Bill Gates. I never thought in a million years I'd interview a guy like Eric Cole. Like, he is a big-time guy, and he wanted to go on my small show, and it was just so phenomenal. I thought that was so cool. But no, I can relate.
Cool.
There is just so much interesting stuff out there and so many interesting people. And I just want to get them on my show and talk to them and get like, especially with COVID going on, like you really can't interact like you used to be able to. And this face-to-face thing doesn't happen much. And now you have ways of talking to people like on a whole different level. Because you're in Kansas, I'm in Pennsylvania, and we're having a conversation on a podcast that's going to go live for everybody in the world to hear. It's like so fascinating how we've changed the dynamic of visitations, as it were. But no, I can relate to you, and I think that's awesome. So can we talk about your podcast for a second? What's your show,
absolutely.
and what do you like to do with it?
So I run a podcast called the Brittney Richardson Experience. Yes, totally stole that from Rogan, but it is my own experience. I'll tell you what happened. So I was doing this podcast, and everybody kept asking me, they're like, what's your podcast about? Like, is it business? Is it health and wellness?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? I'm like, I don't know. We talk about everything. They're like, yeah, but what is it? So I would tell them, well, out of desperation, I would say, well, it's kind of like Rogan. It's kind of like what you guys. You just kind of have prominent guests, and you talk about life. And they're like, oh, okay, I get it now. So I finally, out of desperation, I'm like, I'm tired of explaining this. I'm just going to go with it. We'll call it the BRE Experience, the BRE podcast.
Okay, nice. So, yeah,
but I've had doctors on. I had CEOs, had prominent book authors.
That's cool.
In psychology, we had one with a woman talking about somatic experiencing and the power of touch when it comes to psychology and releasing trauma that's stored in the body. Like, we've talked about so many fascinating things, and that's what I enjoy the most about podcasting is learning and connecting as people.
Well, and that's why I kind of keep doing the show, because there's so much I learn, like things that my buddy has a podcast, and he has like an entrepreneur podcast. It's like he tries to talk about how he leaves the 9 to 5, and it's so cool because he gets some great guests on. And then I get my show, and I have these guests on, and I learn so much, even more than I'm already learning from his show, because there's so many people out there that want to talk, want to tell their story. And if you get them on your show, you can learn so much valuable information from them. And I have a whole train of knowledge, and actually I've made friends off of this podcast, because they're like, wow, I'm glad we got to connect. Like, can we keep connecting? Can we stay connected? Maybe you can help me in the future. And I'm just like, sure, like, that's awesome. So I actually love doing this because I'm a very social person. So being a social person, I'm sure you can relate. Having this has been really great for my mental state, because I've been able to connect with people and grow with people on a whole different level, because I'm growing with people who are I just had someone on the other day that was all the way in the United Kingdom, and I had to interview her, and it was so cool because I got to get another experience, and it's just so great connecting with people on a whole nother level. I love it. I'm sure you can relate to that.
I can definitely. Yeah, that's what I love the most. I love connecting with people and learning more about our world, because I think things could be so much better than they are right now. No matter what category you put that in, just the broad picture of what's going on in our world, I think things could be so much better.
Yeah.
And a lot goes back to communicating and learning as people, education. You know, learning how to think, learning how to process things. You know, that's so vital in business, because we all have this filter, right? And it can skew the way we see things.
Definitely.
And we have certain biases that may get us off track, you know, even just growing a business.
Yeah.
You know, I attribute all of my success in business so far. Like, I went from $50,000 to a 6-figure income.
Wow.
My businesses. And it's all thanks to Ty Lopez as a mentor, taking his training, reading stacks of books. I don't remember if you don't know if you remember his garage video.
No,
the Lamborghinis.
No, I don't.
He's like, all of these books. He's like,
oh,
these Lamborghinis
oh, the
are
book
nice.
guy. I know who you're talking about now. Yes, the book guy. Yes, I remember that. The guy where he's like, I didn't get this Lamborghini because I had money. I worked. I read these books, and I remember seeing his ads. So yes, I remember that guy.
I doubled my income listening to that guy.
Wow.
Seriously. And all he was saying, like, his whole mentorship program was focused on teaching you how to learn.
Yeah.
And to read more books. So I attribute everything, like, to stacks of books that I read.
That's awesome.
If we just read more books, you know.
That's awesome.
We would be so much better.
Yeah, I have books. I have a couple books I need to read about success and stuff. And, you know, it's funny. I'm writing a book about success, and I tend not to read books on success because I feel like, okay, here's my take on this. And correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like when I read certain books about success, they're trying to sell something that isn't a realistic goal. Because they're like, if you have this, this, and this. Whereas what I'm trying to write is, if you do it, a successful family life, a successful career in whatever you do can be contributed to success. Doesn't matter if you have a business or you're an entrepreneur. You could be successful as a family man, as a football player, or as a coach, or as a teacher. You can be successful in whatever, and that's one of the things I'm attributing to the book. Is like I feel like everybody's pushing success as it's a money, like it's a money thing. Like you can get rich quick, and I don't want to do the get rich quick thing. I'm going on the notion that everybody can be successful, whether you are an entrepreneur, a teacher, a doctor, a police officer, whatever you do, you're successful in what you do as long as you love what you're doing. And that's what I'm writing the book about. And I feel like it's really been great because while writing this, I've learned so much because I'm doing a lot of research and listening to people and listening on podcasts and like just getting the feel of the land. And I've been creating a book off of it, and it's been great. So I can't wait. I'll have to, whenever it launches, I will send you the link and you can check it out.
I would love that. Are you doing an audiobook version as well? Or is
it
written?
No, it's probably just going to be a writing portion of it because I'm doing all of it myself and then paying an editor to edit it. So it's kind of like I don't know how to get the audio part started. I may do that myself and then send you the audio file.
I was going to say, if you do, let me know because us truckers,
yes,
we rely on audiobooks. We listen all day long.
If I can figure out how to get an audio portion of it, I will get you an audio portion because it's this the whole writing a book thing is still kind of new to me. It's like podcasting is one thing, and that's one of the things. Podcasting is great because you can voice it yourself and get your opinion out there, and then send it to like every platform, and it's out there, and it's there. And whereas writing is like you have to write it and then you have to send it and hope that someone reads a book still.
I know, right?
I'm like,
do you ever think though, like about the power of podcasting, video, all these recordings that we do and we put out there? Like tomorrow, if we were dead and gone, our voice lives on.
Yeah.
Have you ever like thought about the gravity of that?
So I actually, funny thing is, I was thinking about that the other day. I was driving and I was listening to a podcast and I was like pulled off the side of the road to get some gas. And I went through my phone and I was like, saw my podcast on the screen. And I was like, my name and my podcast are on Spotify. I had never thought in a million years I would be on Spotify. My name is on Spotify. My podcast, my audio is on Spotify. I'm there. I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on this. And I was like, I just went on Apple Podcasts today. I don't have apps or Mac or anything. So I went and downloaded it on my Windows and saw it there and saw people were subscribing and saw people were listening. And I'm just like, wow, like that's powerful because, yeah, like you said, I could be dead and gone tomorrow. But as long as my link is still up there, as long as everything's still up there, people can go back and listen to me when I'm gone. And that's a phenomenal idea because before, years past, like I'm only 30, a few years ago, things like this weren't as popular. Like people were like doing podcasts, but they are not as popular as they are now. Like podcasting now is just like, is taken off. And since COVID, equipment and stuff has been hard to find because people want to push that. They said I think it was, what was it, last week I heard that there was over 2 million podcasts. Now here's the thing, and I will tell you the statistics of this. Even within those 2 million podcasts, only a percentage of those, I can't remember what the exact percentage is, are actually still producing episodes. Like I'm on my 56th episode, and a couple of people that have reached out to me to talk on their shows or have still doing shows have hit their 5th episode or their 6th episode and stopped. And they've been weeks, if not months out from recording a new episode. And it's kind of sad because it's like, well, you were pushing this episode on me. You wanted me to listen. You wanted my input. But now you're not doing it. Mm-hmm. And I'm on my almost 60th episode coming up in the next couple weeks. And, it's great. But, if you're not going to continue with it, don't jump into something you're not willing to commit to. Because I tell people this. They're like, oh, it's so easy doing this. It's not. It's a full-time job because you got to record and edit and make sure the sound quality is good. It's a full-time job. And what people don't understand is that's the gist of it. You may not get paid for it either at the beginning. I get paid for mine. I don't have sponsorships. I get paid through monthly listeners. But it is still a job. You have to commit to it and fully understand that you're going to be editing. And I have a full-time job and 3 businesses I run, and I'm writing this book, and I have 2 kids, and I have a house that I'm paying for. So I'm busy, like always busy. And it's like, I have this, and this episode, as soon as when we're done with this, people will be hearing it the next day or the day after, because editing takes me a while and I have so much going on. But when it goes live and I get all the responses, people are flooding my inbox and they're like, wow, like your episode, like I really loved it. Like I enjoyed it. I got something out of it. I don't know if that works for you. People message you, but I get messages from people saying, wow, like you were authentic. I loved hearing it. Your guest was amazing. Like, can you please, like, I'm sure like someone's going to hear the show, hear you talk and be like, can you try and get her back on in the future? And I'll be like, I can try, but people are busy and some people want to just go on one time. So I do get that where people are like, can you get this guest back on? I want to hear them talk some more. And I've had people saying, hey, that guest you had, you should get them as a co-host. And I'm like, but they have their own show. They have their own stuff. Like I like the ideas that people are throwing at me.
We're a tag team with people.
Yeah, and it's great. I have like a network now. Like, and that's what I love about podcasting is there's a network you can build through this. I don't know if you've experienced that, but you can build a network of people who you can count on in future episodes.
You really can. I mean, I've noticed the same thing with YouTube. We have kind of a group of YouTubers behind the scenes. We all call each other and share notes, and sometimes we collab on YouTube. So it's really cool. Why do you think? I would ask, why do you think that people maybe get 5 or 6 episodes into a podcast and they just give up?
So that's a good question. And I'm going to answer it to what I think is it. I think they started it and they realized how overwhelming it was, because when I first started, I got overwhelmed real quickly because I was doing an episode every day and I had to stop. I stopped for a few days and was like, I can't do this anymore. My buddy calls me up and says, where's your episode at? I was waiting for it. I was like, I can't do this anymore. He's like, that's because you were doing it every day. You need to do it every so often. So I scheduled it down to twice a week or 3 times a week, and that's it. And then I edit them whenever I feel like it, because then I can get it out when I need to, or, you know. And I feel like these people are doing it, getting so pushed by it, the deadlines and stuff, or trying to get guests or trying to make the show interesting, that they get too overwhelmed and then they burn out and then they stop. One of the things, I have a friend of mine and she's always telling me, don't push yourself to get burnt out. And I try. Between doing all I do, I try to set aside time for myself, and which I do find a good amount of time. On the road, mostly I'll pull off and I'll just relax and take a few minutes to myself before going and continuing my journey. And it's great, but there's times at home where I'm like, I feel like I don't have time. And then other days I'm like, wow, I have downtime? Like, what's this? But I feel like these people don't have the downtime, or they're working too much and they just get too pushed and they just stop the show. I'd like to get your input. Why do you think these people stop?
I think you nailed it. I don't think people are prepared for just what the complexities that are there on the tech side, how much editing, and people are trying to juggle full-time jobs. I know I feel the weight of that. You know, I'm out here 70 hours a week as a truck driver.
Wow.
And then on top of that, I'm producing the podcast and doing videos and sponsorships. So I mean, it's nothing for me to go past 100 hours a week. And that just, as a matter of fact, my doctor told me this last week. She's like, your health was pristine, but she said it just nosedived and you need to slow down.
Yeah.
So, and I think, you know, people, I think they allow themselves to get burnout. I think one of the problems that I think we as people don't always listen. We don't always turn inward to understand what energizes us, what refreshes us, and what drains us. And I've said this because I enjoy doing the videos and podcasting. It is my passion.
Yeah.
I love connecting with people and sharing my input with the world. Like, that means everything to me. Just sharing that with somebody else and bettering them. But it drains me really fast. you know, a lot of social, if I'm out at a social event, meeting fans, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Sometimes I'll have people crowding around the truck at a truck stop when I
Wow.
pull in because they're like, oh my God, it's Brittney. Hey, can we get a photo? I love it. I am so excited. So I'm not one of those people that are like, no, get away from me. But after all of the hustle and bustle, I get drained very quickly in the social situations. So sometimes, my point is, sometimes the things that you're most passionate about are the things that drain you the most.
Oh, I get it.
So if you don't understand what is going to recharge your battery, then you're going to have a hard time balancing those things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I get it, because you need, like, balance. You need balance. You need, as it were, equilibrium. You need to have that. You need to have that, because if you push yourself and you don't focus on the things that are keeping you there and keeping you not there, you're not going to get anywhere. I know for myself. I have, my kids are always here. My situation is like, you know, I divorced at a young age, and because it was a bad situation for both of us, we just weren't getting along. And so we had 2 kids, and we, you know, balancing between both kids and keeping that equilibrium where the kids are happy all the time. And it's a balance, and trying to keep everybody else happy. It's a lot of work, and running a business, that's even like a lot more stress. And then working a full-time job, like, it's a lot of work. And balancing out those quirks and issues, trying to make it work around the clock is a lot of work. I mean, trying to balance work and pleasure and fun and social life, it's a lot of work. We had a party a few nights ago, and I remember this, like, I'm like, people, you need to leave my house. But then I'm like, I wanted this. Like, I wanted to host this party, and now I'm like, people need to leave. And I actually, like, the whole time I'm like saying that, but I really want these people there because I never get to see people. I feel like I'm so stuck and stuff. I just want to have an interaction. And then when it's there, I'm just like, I'm so drained because I'm hosting and doing all this stuff, and it's a lot of work.
What recharges you?
What recharges me? Sleep. Well, no, okay, I can't say sleep, but a lot of it is just, I am very faith-based, and my faith has been a big part of keeping me recharged. Going through that, and then having that as in the background has been great. I'd say, what else recharges me? There's a couple things. Video games. I take a few, I'd say 20, 30 minutes to play a couple of games with some friends, and to spend that time with friends, and that recharges me because I'm not focused on work. I'm focused on fun and entertaining, and it's great. So I would say those things are recharging. Let's bounce the question back, because I'm going to bounce this question at you now. What recharges you?
To be honest, retreat, like, God, there's so many things, but they all revolve around retreating, right?
Okay.
Maybe being on a walk with my boyfriend, and we'll go on like a 3-mile walk together through our little town. It's so peaceful.
Nice.
But I like withdrawing. I like being out there in the crowd and connecting with people, and, you know, being on national radio and things like this. But then I like retreating away for a few days.
Yeah.
And and hell, depending on your faith, I don't know what your faith is, but I know in the Bible, Jesus would retreat at times with his disciples and take that downtime. But I just like to get in the background, watch a movie, get caught up on sleep, have a snack day where you just have movies and popcorn and snacks at home.
Definitely.
You know, with the ones you love. Like, that recharges me the
Family is important. And I may not talk about a lot in this podcast because it's not one of the things I bring up, because it's more like a thing. But family is important, and finding time for yourself is important. And, like, speaking of which, you should listen to Body Positivity with Charlene Ariche, one of my episodes I've done. She is just phenomenal, talking about how she basically recharges her life with positivity. She's a plus size model, and she has found so much positivity in what she does. And I would definitely recommend the episode. It's gotten 1,000 views since it launched, and she's been on my show twice now because she's so popular and she's so friendly. I love having her on my show. She's a great person. But
that is so
no,
awesome.
There's just my faith has been important on recharging, and I take that time on Sundays to recharge myself, and have experienced so much joy and actually more blessing through it, and it's been positive for me. And
oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Kind of the point, like, and I'm not particularly religious, but wasn't that kind of the point of the Sabbath, right?
Yeah.
It was to remind, so that we remind ourselves that we're not robots.
Exactly.
We need time to rest.
Yeah.
We need time to focus on the important things.
Exactly. And you have to take time. You have to take time. I want to throw this idea at you because I've been bouncing it around. I think it would be great if there was a event, and there may be an event, and just because COVID's happening, it may not be popular right now, where like you and me and other podcasters would get together at a place and people could meet us, like kind of like a Comic-Con, but for podcasters. I think that would be such a cool idea. And I've been bouncing this around. I've been bouncing this around. I'm like, where would we even do it? How would we even do it? We have to crowdfund this?
Kansas City.
What? Kansas City? Do you have
just saying.
Huh?
Just saying, it's the middle of the country.
Well, if you have a convention center, let's do it. I mean, that would be so cool. I think it'd be really cool if people could like come and meet their favorite podcasters, even if they were small-time podcasters out there and there was some big-time podcasters. I think it would be such a cool event if podcasters could go and collaborate. Even if it wasn't for people to meet them, it was an event where podcasters can go and collaborate with other podcasters. I think that would be a phenomenal idea.
That would be so cool. I'm 100% on board.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to get some people on board and collaborate this into a real thing. I think that would be really cool. We are on our time, but I really enjoyed talking with you, and I would love to offer you the extension of going on my show again in the future.
I warmly accept.
Awesome.
Anytime.
Awesome.
You just let me know.
Well, we'll make it happen. I will schedule in for maybe like 3 months, and we'll schedule in for that, but we'll make sure we actually like get it right this time, like put the scheduling in. No, I'm so glad we got to talk. Huh?
You ever have isn't Google, okay, I try to set my Google calendar, you know?
Yeah.
It's supposed to like pop up little notes or little
reminders.
What do they call it? Yeah, little reminders. That, hey, you've got an appointment today. Nothing popped up today.
Oh.
And I assumed it was tomorrow.
Oh,
so
no. No, yeah.
Hopefully I'll fix my Google reminder next time.
I think, I don't know how it works when I send it with the Google reminders, if it gives you reminders for you. I don't know how that works. I use Google Calendar all the time, but I don't know how it works for people who get the reminders. So, yeah, but let me end this real quick and we'll talk for a few minutes after the show, because I want to ask you some things that I don't want to ask on the show. Just curious about your feelings on things. But like we are out of time, so I have to close it out. But everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thanks, Brittney, for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I have loved it. Yes. I cannot wait to have you on the future. For everyone tuning in, I'm on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, at IT Tech Talk. If you haven't tuned in, I would suggest tuning in to my other episodes. There's some great guests I've had on, some great information that you can get. Thank you for everyone for listening in. Please stay safe out there. I hope to hear you in the next one. Awesome.